Flash forward now, George Zimmerman's defense team deposing 8 Sanford police officers and 4 firefighters starting tomorrow. In that mix, the investigator who conducted a voice stress test, something similar to a lie detector, on Zimmerman and concluded that he passed. They'll also be talking to the paramedic who pronounced Trayvon Martin dead at the scene. It's been more than 6 months now since George Zimmerman shot and killed Martin. And only on Fox tonight, we're joined by George's brother, Robert Zimmerman Jr., to talk more about this case. Robert, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Sonny.
You've been doing the media rounds. We know you've appeared in several cities now. Why continue to go out, tell your family, your brother's story?
Well, I would have loved to have started to tell this story in Florida, because this is a Floridian story with national implications and international attention. But because of our safety at the time, that wasn't possible. I think it's important to bring the story home, to contextualize what we've been doing, and to bring it to the actual people who are most involved. It's something that happened in a local Florida community.
Do you think at this point it's good to keep talking about this, or do you think we just let the legal system take over right now?
I think that the legal system will exonerate, hopefully, one day, if justice is done, George will be free again. But George will not be free of charges of racism, and neither will our family be free of the threats that we face because we were accused to be a family of racists.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. You've come out publicly and said not only has it been difficult for your parents, but it's also been difficult for you to move on with your life, to find employment, to essentially just go about your daily life. There are critics out there who are going to say, well, that's all well and good, but in the end, another family has lost their son, their brother, their friend. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I would remind people who have that at the forefront of their minds that it's always been at the forefront of our minds as a family, beginning that night and to this day, that someone did lose their son and brother. It has never been absent from our mind. We released a condolence statement in Los Angeles to that effect. We wanted Trayvon Martin's family to know exactly what our feelings were at the time. Now, if people skewed, or we were not able to respond or rebut to their skewing of what our actual reaction was as a family at the time, now's a more appropriate time to do so, seeing that the defense has begun discovery and seeing that there's an actual judge, that it appears that this judge is going to actually hear this case through. Where
were you the night of the shooting?
I was in my home in Virginia.
Okay, so you were far. I mean, did you immediately come here to help him, to help your family?
I was told to stay out of the state of Florida because people were looking for George, and another Zimmerman who resembled George would be the last thing that we needed around the family at the time.
There is a resemblance, obviously. You brought up the racism thing too. It's fair to say that you probably feel like you will never escape that label, your family, George included.
Mm-hmm. I think that reasonable people are going to find elements that come out in court that will exonerate us partially from the charge of racism. Will we ever escape it from people who have made up their minds and don't want to hear anything else about that situation? No. There's always people who are set in their ways and set in their mentality. They're a little extreme sometimes in those points of view. It doesn't mean that it's not my responsibility to speak out against it, though. Like Martin Luther King said, there comes a point where silence becomes betrayal, and I know better. I know that we're not racist. I know our values as a family. We are a multi-ethnic, multicultural, bilingual family. We were raised that way. Our mother is a woman of color. Racism is the furthest thing from our minds, and racism is deplorable. And it's my job to speak out on our family's behalf.
We have about 10 seconds. I had to get this in. A tweet you recently sent out to Natalie Jackson, who's an attorney representing the Martin family, got some attention, frankly, for negative reasons. You said, it'll be my life's goal to see you disbarred. It came out badly. Was it your intent to sound so antagonistic toward her? What was behind that?
You know, I think I was new at Twitter, and I kind of wrote it like a text, but I still stand by my words. I don't think attorneys who are licensed professionals should use their license to report or purport things as fact that are not in fact facts, and be able to assassinate the reputation of a decent human being or a decent family unrebutted and uncontested. Now, I don't license attorneys, but it's my understanding that bar associations do, and they are the last recourse for citizens, lay people just as like myself, seeking justice against an attorney misusing their position as a purporter of fact.
Well, I wish we had more time to go into more issues, but we certainly appreciate you coming in. Robert Zimmerman Jr., thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sonny.